Oh, well, there you go. I can't say that now. Now I'm told we have injuries in camp. One of the bigger headlines, though, Justin, I tell you, is that the team hasn't been announced yet. Sebastian Desabre is holding all the cards closest to his chest, so we don't even know who will be in the final 23-man squad. But we shall pick the views of the panel here and Moses Basena, plus, of course, you folks out there online who have a thing or two to say. But quickly to remind you, we have your best rapper on the show tonight. Big Trill is with us. He will be telling us everything to do with music and sport. I've been told he's also a very big footballing fan. So he will be giving us those details and telling us which side he supports and whether his side won anything this season. Let me quickly move to the panel and start off by welcoming Mr. Moses Basena. Good evening and welcome to the show.
Good evening to you, ladies and gentlemen. And I'm honored to be part of the panel to discuss about a few things about Uganda Cranes and football in particular.
You've been in this position so many times. We're days away from the Africa Cup of Nations. Just give us a feel. What is happening in camp in there, and from a coach's perspective, how much pressure are you on in these final few days to the tournament?
First of all, the pressure now is on the coach to announce the team and to disappoint a few, because every footballer would want to go and play for his country and on such a big tournament. So he's got to make a decision. And actually, I think that's why he's still not sure about who to drop, who to keep. That comes with a lot of pressure. You disappoint a few, could be a friend of yours, as in professional way. And I think that that in itself is a big one for a coach. But the other is it gets exciting, you know, because you don't sleep enough, because you do a lot of research. You look at so many scouting reports, because you have now many teams you are going to play against, and that makes a lot of work for you.
Yeah, but the most interesting one is, I mean, what do you tell a football fan out there who thinks the coach by this time should have had like 95%, 97% of his team sorted out in his mind?
I'm sure he has that. I'm sure he has that. Could be a few or one or two decisions to make, and I would think that he's still jostling it with his staff to make decisions, but at the end of the day he makes the final call. But I believe that is where the problem could be.
Coach, just very curious, how do you tell a player that has flown from Uganda to go to Abu Dhabi, played in the qualifiers, perhaps even contributed in a very big way, that he's not going to play at the AFCON, that he's not good enough? How do you sit down with him in his room at night? How do you go about that? It
depends on what you want to do and how you want to relay the information. Because it's something to be professional about. When you are in the group stages, when you are qualifying, it's a league. But now it has to pick the final 23 who are now going to play a sort of knockout tournament, because you have two games which are very important, the first games, and you must pick points from the first games, and then you must pick players who are going to do three things: play for you, the coach, play for himself, play for his country. Those are very important.
Yes.
He may not play for you, but then he has to play for his country. Be committed. And by playing for his country, then he's playing for himself. Because this time round, the tournament has come at the end of the league across the world. Some of them are looking for new contracts.
Yes.
Some of them are coming from big rigorous leagues around. And so they've got settled minds, and they have to perform to their expectations. So the coach has to say, look, national team job is not a permanent one. I have to deliver results. I have to make decisions not based on sentiments.
Yeah.
And then
Coach,
you go forward, you move forward, yes?
2017 Gabon was quite monumental for us in Uganda.
Yes.
Closed 4 decades, 4 decades out of Nations Cup. You qualify. Heading into such a tournament, of course, you had Mitchell with you, Fred Kajoba. How's the experience like? Because as a coach, that was also, it was as new to you as the players. How would you get into such a tournament?
Exactly, like I said earlier, it's exciting. You shoulder the expectations of all Ugandans. They are looking at you. Each step you make, each decision you take is going to impact on anybody. So we go to Gabon, new experience, new rules, how you dress. There are rules about contractual, like TV. CAF says you don't have to behave like this, you don't have to do this. And then you've got interruptions in training sessions by giving interviews. And players are supposed to give interviews. These are players who had not gone to that level of competition. And the way to behave, even carry the flag high. You need to be representative of the country and the federation. So you need to be very cautious on what you do. So it was both exciting and a little bit...
it was fun and
nervous, yes.
But here's an interesting thing. Before I bring back Asha in, and we shall talk about the team and the players very shortly. But having been in Gabon, you feel some of the players and the fans and the coaching team, the general atmosphere around the team is better now because we have some experience of having been in AFCON.
Exactly.
There's less nerves out there now.
Yes, I believe so. Now, when you have Dennis now, who has been playing in Champions League, we have now Mia playing in Europe. Okwi is coming from Champions League football. Ochaya has been playing on the continent. Now they know what to do, what the coaches expect out of them, and they should be able to guide their colleagues. I know there are a few who are coming from Europe who may not know what it means to play on the African continent.
Absolutely.
And African football. That can be a little bit of a disadvantage.
Sorry, Coach, I'm going to take you back a little bit.
Yes, please.
We were in the same group with Ghana, Egypt,
Yes.
and I know that in Port-Gentil you were staying in the same compound
Yes.
as Ghana. And I know what it feels like to be a newcomer, like a newbie. So you walk out of your room and you see Asamoah Gyan and you're thinking,
No.
No, like, wait, not
Look, you're right. Because, when they were going for training, going for their meals, actually Samoa, they were passing via my door, And
to remind you that you could be in trouble anytime.
And a few occasions would meet and chat and talk about, even after we had lost.
Okay.
I had a one-on-one with him back in the hotel. And he told me they had done a lot of scouting about Uganda Cranes. And they were thinking what that makes Uganda Cranes tick whenever they play against them, whenever we're playing against Ghana. So he told me that they saw Ugandan footballers being very comfortable on the ball. So they took that as an advantage. Said, so because they knew we were comfortable on the ball, so they said they should make us more comfortable
with it.
In a moment, we are going to make a mistake, and indeed, you seen they made a mistake and they were punished. So that gives you the level of confidence and seniority. They knew, okay, we're going to keep it this way, 0-0, but at a certain point in time, they are going to make a mistake. They're a small team, a smaller team than us. We're going to punish them. Something happened with against Egypt. 2 minutes to go, we throw everybody up, lose possession, and a break, a count, and finished. Because you can never know when they are going to score against you or when you are going to score against the opponents. So you need to be patient, wait for that moment, and then punish and strike.
Andrew, I'm going to ask you a question which is quite heavy.
Please do.
The last time Egypt visited Uganda,
yes,
you had taken over after Micho had left.
Yes.
And you beat Egypt.
Yes.
One, Ugandans will want to know if you could offer a few tips on how to stop Salah, like you did at Nambole. And then two, you and Micho were close.
Yes.
Even when he left.
Yes. Up to now. Yes.
Ahead of that game, yes, he had gone.
Yes.
But were you in contact? Would you, like, as someone who you've been around with for some time, did you encourage each other, give each other advice ahead of that game?
To be honest with you, a week prior to that game, he told me, we are not going to make contact because you have decision to make.
Wow.
You need to be an individual. I told him, yes, please, because we could have gotten confused along the way. And he wished me well, and he said, okay, let me give it my best shot and see what happens. And managing national team is about the psyche, the motivation, and then of course the tactics. You pick them well, and then you are there.
Okay.
And because I told them there's no better game you can play than playing against Egypt. And we gave, I think, the best of
And
all.
after the match, did Mitchell call you? Did he send you a text? What did he tell you?
He sent me a text. Of course, we even up to now we send texts.
Yeah.
we talk.
Okay.
Actually, not only Mitchell, everybody almost on the continent.
Yeah. I sent you a text myself, and of course you didn't reply, man. But it's absolutely fine. Do you miss those days? Do you miss managing the national team?
Yes,
Being on
I
that-
do.
on that
Yes, I do.
touchline?
Yes,
So
I
it's-
do.
It's a proper plan in the future.
Yes,
the opportunity
because
presents itself.
of recent, I've been away. I've been to the US for 3 months.
Want to talk about that?
And
Mr. Basena, what the accent?
accent,
No.
because I don't want to
No.
and to try to improve myself and position myself, because let me tell you one experience. When the federation said this job is up for grabs, anybody can apply.
Yes.
I was a little bit hesitant, but I said, then who is going to give it to me on the silver platter?
Yes.
I need to apply. I've been there, I've worked. I don't think I worked poorly. I don't think so.
Yeah.
Because that
If
time,
anything, you have 100% winning record.
because that time, now Uganda actually wanted to go to the World Cup. Can you imagine?
Yeah.
With a local coach.
Yeah.
Because we had beaten Egypt,
And they had beaten
and
us, yeah.
and we were going to Egypt now, so it became very, very important.
Yeah.
And we lost 1-0. We had a situation where we think, or where I thought, we could have pulled a goal, an equalizer, where we mishandled the situation through Mia, but that was football. And then we went to Congo Brazzaville, we drew 1-1. And I think Egypt qualified, they led us by 2 points,
Yeah.
and they qualified. So I'm telling you, Uganda Cranes was supposed to be, or was aiming
Russia.
for
For the
For
World
Russia,
Cup.
for the World Cup in
Coach,
Russia.
just before Asha, just a second. And I know Asha wants to talk about players as well. But I want to start that discussion now.
Yes.
You look at Gabon, 1 goal, 1 point.
Yes,
We conceded in each of the 3 games.
yes,
We had Mali,
yes.
Ghana,
Yes.
Egypt. Now we have Egypt in our group once again. You look at that group and you look at this group, which has DRC and Zimbabwe. I know you won't say it's an easier group or a better group, but African football doesn't get tougher than this.
I believe the other group was much tougher. You cannot pick on Mali.
Yeah.
You cannot pick on Mali. You cannot say I'm going to play Ghana again. You cannot say let me play Egypt, because for them, their ambition is to win the tournament.
Not to get out of the group. Yes.
It's not about getting out of the group. For us now is, can we now win a game? Can we now get out of the group?
Yes.
Which is not so difficult, but at the same time not so easy.
Yeah.
Because the Congolese have been almost there each tournament.
Quarterfinalists almost every
The
tournament.
Zimbabweans, the Egyptians, of course. But the Ugandan star has been its group, its unit.
Yes.
At least by the time I was in the national team, I would make sure the unit is as strong as it could be. Yeah, because why would I take that decision? Because we lack that individual player who can turn and win a game for you. That individual player who can win a game is the goalkeeper again, because probably he can save a penalty for you. But up front, we work as a unit. We rely on dead ball situations. We rely more, although it's now the modern trend, on counter-attacks. And because we've been having problems of a midfielder linking us into the offensive part. And I think that's why Desabre was relying so much on Moses Basena. I think he had that bit of quality. And that's why I think the country was yearning for Alan Okello because they believe he has the intelligence to link the
Would
game.
you have taken him, Alan Okello, if you were coach today?
Yes and no, because the situation could have depended, really.
I have a question for you, though.
Yes.
You were in charge of that game in Alexandria.
Yes.
85,000-seater stadium.
Yes.
I'm sure when you guys came out to warm up,
Yes.
you were thinking, wow, a sea of red.
Yes.
You know, the fans are bouncing up and down, and it's going to be the same scenario in Cairo. You know, the intimidation of the Egyptian fans. What can you say that these current players, the ones that played in that World Cup qualifier and the ones that will play this time, do you think they will have gotten used to that?
You cannot say they could have gotten used to it because it's something which comes in a particular moment. But what would be the remedy for that is that you don't allow them to string 1, 2, 3, 4 passes together, especially coming forward. They can string them in their defensive part. But once they start stringing and coming towards them, then the fans follow them, then you're in trouble.
Yeah, because already we saw how Uganda Cranes collapsed against Tanzania in Dar es Salaam.
Yes.
It was the same situation. You have over 70,000 fans at the National Stadium in Dar es Salaam, literally over the roof, and our players did not manage the situation. It's going to be worse even against Egypt.
When we played against Tanzania, I was, like I told you, I was in the US, but I could understand why. Why we suffered that heavy loss. Uganda thrives so much in these difficult situations. If that game had been a decider for us, a do or die, wouldn't have considered those many goals. I don't think so.
Coach, we shall talk about your trip to the USA because I think we also need more details from that. But I tell you what, before the show started, we asked the viewers to send you all sorts of questions.
Yes.
So guys have been on Twitter going mad. The hashtag NTV PRESS BOX. Joel Kamadi is standing by.
Tell you what, guys, you would think that everybody was waiting for Coach Basena to appear on the press box because the questions have come in thick and fast. I'll start with Paul Unzimai, who says, kindly ask Basena what he feels about the Sabre has to do to ensure we get goals, because I didn't see hopes of us scoring more than 2 goals at the AFCON 2019, and he doesn't see, rather. And why was Shaban dropped from the national team, he asks. Muramuzi says, my question, when Uganda won Kenya, or beat Kenya 13-1 in the early 1930s, who were the players, and do we still have one present? I'll let that one, give that to the panel to decide and answer. Murunjike Ronald, how does he see Uganda Cranes' chances at AFCON 2019? Kamis Kayongo, Mr. Basena prefers a 4-2-3-1 formation. Can he briefly explain to me what he thinks it's the best? Kamis Kayongo again, which managers do you feature in your top 5 selection? I'm not sure if you're talking about locally based managers or foreign based managers. Mtibwa Ronald asks, ask Coach Basena if there is something missing in the national team. If it's there, let him advise as a senior. Greetings to you all. Kalanzi Sam, why do players lack basics of how to build up a goal, yet individually you see ability from the players, yet they can't do these things? Elvis Brian Olama asks, hello press box, what does coach think should be a sustainable solution to our poor scoring abilities going into AFCON, given that we can't score against, get this, Turkmenistan, for crying out loud? Is it the talent we lack or poor coaches who can't bring out the best out of the boys? Now, this one asks about 3 questions in one. It's called Ofono Pot. Which formation does he like best? 1, 2, does he like traditional old school center backs or the modern day defenders that play from the back? And 3, I have a very good defensive midfielder currently in S2 for him. Let him get in touch with him. Finally, Ham Parker asks, what went wrong at Villa? Who is the best player he has ever coached? What are our home-based players lacking to push in these regional cups? And thank you for the show. He's watching, of course, from Abu Dhabi.
There you go. So many questions suddenly coming in for Mr. Basena. I'll reserve the question about the Uganda Cranes players and Kenyan players in the 1930s for Asha to answer later. She seems to...
She was there. I think that's an unfair question when Maxwell is absent.
Is it because I'm black? Who am I being segregated against?
Maxwell is not here, so Asha will take on the experience. But coach, Asha, I want you to read that list, the list of players who are not traveling to the Africa Cup of Nations, and then coach answers that also with the fact that people are talking about goal scoring problems. I talked about us scoring just one goal in Gabon.
Yes.
Geoffrey Massa has since left that team.
Yes.
Shaban is not in this team.
Yeah.
And I think should just continue with that list first before you can
Yes, so the players are 10. They could actually make a starting 10 with an obvious goalkeeper.
With someone red carded like last night, 10 can play as well.
Yes, absolutely. So you have Moses Oloya, you have Isaac Isinde, Geoffrey Serunkuma, Dennis Iguma, Mohamed Shaban, Shafiq Batambuze, Geoffrey Massa, Tony Maweje, Baba Geoffrey Chizito, and Yunus Sentamu.
It's a fresh team, coach.
It's a fresh team.
Yeah.
Like a real starting 4 defenders, 2 holding midfielders.
I don't know how to explain that, because when Mitchell left, there were some players who had dropped. But then when I sat down with my staff, I told them, I think we need to start afresh. We need to summon everybody. People never understood why we took that decision. So you come, express yourself, get afresh. Now, when I went out of the national team, a new manager came in. You remember we had played. I took the Chan best, home best team to Nairobi to play Sekafa because we wanted them to go through that tournament in preparation for Chan. Then somehow I left the team, and then the new manager came in, went to Chan, looked at the team, because then the tournament in itself had started, the qualifier. Then he had to summon so many people for his own sake to look at them and make decisions. What is maybe a little bit surprising is that a few of them are joining the team and the camp in Abu Dhabi. He had not seen, probably maybe on video, but he had not seen this
Like
American
the
best,
pair?
the American best, Azira.
Azira, yeah.
And I think Azira joined 2 days ago.
And he actually last played for Uganda at the AFCON in Gabon.
And I remember,
the last 2 minutes against Mali.
Last 2 minutes.
I remember he came to us in Gabon after the tournament, and he was asking why he should be involved in the team when he gets a few minutes, when he flies from America too. But I think they had to convince him and say, look, come and have a fresh start. But coming back to the 10 who are missing, football is all about the present. It's not about the history. If presently they are not meeting the criteria, then you don't have to say because they were in Gabon, they have to be in Cairo.
Okay, but here's an interesting one, yeah?
Yes.
In Tanzania, and you correct me if I'm wrong, I mean, I'm not a tactician
Yes.
like
Of course
you.
you are not, of
No,
course
hey, Pola.
Yes.
Everyone.
But when you look at the holding position, yeah, Khalid Aucho did not play that game because if he had gotten a yellow card, he would miss the first game at the AFCON in Egypt. So imagine a scenario where we already have Tony Maweje or Baba Chizito who already know what to do in that position. But instead, we threw Tadeo Luanga into the mud, literally.
But when is when is one supposed to start anyway?
Yeah, okay.
His
That's a
national,
good one.
you know, you don't have to say because this one can't play because the other one is there. Like I said, it's supposed to be the current form. If Tadeo Luanga has been playing well, let him play. Why so nobody is complaining about why so, but all of a sudden he came, started playing. Somebody in the questions was one of the questions they were asking me, who is this player? But I am proud and happy to tell you it is me who picked Alan Chambade from after Kanyanya. What is the next town?
Asha.
Perere, from Perere. Yes. Took him to Express. Express was chaotic that time. I told him, don't sign anything. Simply enjoy your football. It is from Express. It is from me to Express to Vida to KCC.
And now he's
Now
playing
national team.
continental football. Nice.
We are still discussing the AFCON and the team itself, but let me just get this question out of the way.
Yes,
Because
yes.
you talked about Express, you've been at Villa, you've been at Simba, you've been at URA,
Yes,
some of
yes.
the biggest clubs in Ugandan football. And someone was asking online, who is the best player you've ever coached? That's a hard one, eh?
It's a hard one. There are many, really. There are
Yeah.
many.
Yeah, but at least give
There are
us some
many.
names.
Like I said, one of them is, like I'm saying now, Chambade is one of the players who people may not question when he's being fielded. Jajawalu as one of them. Even David Oboa himself, when he was at Chibuli as a footballer, as a student.
Okay.
There are quite a number.
I'm
But-
also from Chibuli, coach.
Yeah. But the same person is also asking what happened at Villa, why you left Villa.
Because they were chaotic.
Whoa.
They were not. They had issues, many of them. Yes.
And when you left, you were certain that it doesn't matter who comes until they sort themselves, it continues, right?
Yeah, it doesn't matter. But I don't think I need to discuss Villa now. But personally, I thought the project wasn't moving well. No players, no nothing, and actually, I literally started the team with like 80 players.
I started with you, I think, at Nambolde when you were.
Not Nambola. I
You-
think
you-
we started in Islamic somewhere.
And then you were
Islam.
calling all aspiring Ugandan footballers.
Exactly.
Come and
And,
play.
He showed up.
it cannot start.
Actually, they are
There's
filming
a,
for
there's a
Facebook,
question
yeah?
I don't want to forget. He talked of if you are on form, you play.
Yes.
Because we have a scenario where we have senior players in the
Yes.
team,
Yes.
and they've not had clubs
Yes.
this year.
Yes.
They were in Gabon, but they are going. I think they will make the final 23.
Yes.
So, as a national team coach, what informs that a player is not playing, someone is playing? An example of Alan Okello, who has played football on the continent, literally has nothing to prove here,
Yes.
and he's not there, but someone who's not been playing is on the team.
I think you are comparing two different players. Alan Okello is not a direct competitor of, say, Hassan Waswa.
It's just an example.
Yeah, I'm answering you. He's
Okay.
not a direct competitor of Hassan Waswa. Neither is a competitor of Jajawal.
Jajawal, yes.
Now, like we said and rightly noted that 10 of them are not in Gabon, rather not in Cairo, they were in Gabon. If you missed those two,
Then you've lost quite a chunk of experience.
exactly.
Yeah.
But because Uganda qualified a little bit earlier,
Yeah.
and we have had a lot of time with these experienced players, they needed to work on their fitness levels, get much minutes in their body. I'm surprised. I don't know whether they played last night.
Actually, Jajawal
Yes,
played
coming to
90
that.
minutes. Hassan Waswa didn't play, which surprised me.
Yeah, we
I'm
drew 0-0
thinking,
against?
against Turkmenistan. That
Turkmenistan.
Asha was there a while ago. I think perhaps Desabre trusts those two soldiers, which is understandable. And he has a game against Ivory Coast on June 15th. So perhaps he's told Waswa you'll play the
but
game
coach,
and all.
as we try to wrap this discussion, and I'm sure there's more, because I want us to discuss Group E and Group F, and also borrow your knowledge really about African football. The big debate that has been going on in the media, and it's been discussed here on the press box, calling players of the senior team who are clubless. Some players who have been active at their clubs the whole season feel they should be having a chance. The head coach goes on and still invites players who are not attached. Is that a problem for you?
It's not my problem. It's a coach's problem who is now currently managing. I remember when we were managing the national team, we had a meeting, a technical meeting, and the FOR president was there. And we passed a resolution of saying whoever doesn't have a club, it doesn't have to be someone in the national team. It's not that you can't play football for the national team. You must play football for the club and then come into the national team. That was then. Now, coach is not a 2-year-old. He's been around. He's been maybe, he has learned, he has seen a lot of Ukraine's games, and probably he saw those too. And probably he said, look, guys, you need to give me a chance. I need to look at this. I need to work with them. It could have been a coach's decision because they have time to prepare. And with Walu Simbi, who has played for some years, with the Hassan Waswa, who has played for some years or the same, they are one of the Uganda Cranes players who will give you their all. Like I said, You need a player who is going to play for you, for himself, and for his country.
And the fact that they don't disappoint when fielded, even when they have no clubs,
Yes.
Gives them,
Exactly.
those credentials.
Yeah, and also, coach, sorry to interrupt you, Hassan Waswa played in Egypt for El Gaif.
Yes.
So he clearly understands what it means, to play in Egypt, really the surroundings and everything
Yes.
there. And plus also Jajawalu literally pocketed Mohamed Salah.
Coach, let's quickly move on, because I want us to wrap this. There's so many questions we can ask you about the Uganda Cranes.
Yes.
So many questions online as well about the Uganda Cranes. But I want us to focus now on Group E so we can pick your mind on what is happening at the Africa Cup of Nations. On the show tonight, we are catching up with a good friend of the show, a good friend of ours, an African journalist who works for the BBC and CAF as well, Sohail Kamira, and he's been telling us everything about Group E, specifically from a Tunisian perspective. Here he is.
So 11 days until the AFCON kicks off in Egypt, and exactly 14 days until Tunisia kicks off its AFCON competitions. Tunisia is in Group E with Mali, Angola, Mauritania. I would say it's not a very difficult group for Tunisia, to be honest, but it's not easy as well. We have first comers Mauritania, who I personally believe are going to be the surprise of the show. They might steal the show in Egypt. We've seen them play, even though they've qualified for the first time, but they have an excellent team with some remarkable players as well, and this is not going to be an easy task for their competitors. But overall, with Tunisia's squad and the new national team coach Alain Giresse, it should be a very manageable task for the Tunisians. They've already started their preparations, beating Iraq in a 2-0 in a friendly game. We have 24 players called up with still one goalkeeper to eliminate. We should expect great things from them. I would personally say at least we can get. Of course, I can confidently say that we are going to get past the first round, and we'll maybe quarterfinals, semi-finals. And why not? We're favored to win the entire competition. Thank you. Have a great day. Cheers.
Oh, there you go. Thank you very much, Sohail from Tunisia, giving us his side of the story about his own side and how he thinks they'll perform in a Group E. Coach, I'm looking at this group.
You know what is making me laugh is after making the draws for Gabon, and we were in the same group with Mali, and Giresse was the coach for Mali.
Yes, he was.
And he made a very disturbing comment. He said everyone is going to pick points from Uganda. It really disturbed me. And I used that to pump the team.
Yes.
Say, look, this guy is saying everybody is going to pick points from us. I think that was below the
professional
that
though
was
as well.
yeah, that was below the belt.
Yeah, it was below
So
the belt. But if you look at this group, Coach, you have Tunisia in there.
Yes,
You have Mali.
yes,
You have Angola.
yes,
Then you have Mauritania, which is now coming in.
yes.
I find it hard to think there's a group that is easy at the AFCON. But how tricky is this?
But I think it's straightforward for me. I think the top two, unless otherwise, will qualify. Look at the preparations of Tunisia. You know, they are going to play against Croatia, World Cup finals.
Yes.
I don't think we can give it a shot as Uganda Cranes. They beat Iraq 2-0 a few days ago. So look at their level of preparation. We have played a team where we have drawn goalless, where everybody is trying to find out which team, which country is
What
that.
location? It's
Central Asia.
And then Mali,
But,
majority of them play in French football, in French league. They play across Europe. And I think that gives them a big advantage.
and they're big in size.
so for you, Tunisia and Mali.
I think so. I think so.
And by the way, they are quite high scoring teams. If you've watched Mali at Nations Cup, Tunisia and all, and Tunisia topped their group with 15 points. Actually, there are 3 teams that topped their groups there: Tunisia, Angola, and Mali. Now, and Mauritania was beaten to the top spot on the final day by Angola. So it's quite interesting for me. I don't see a group there that packs the bus, for example. Those are enterprising teams. So for me, it's going to be exciting.
Well,
I really dislike the test that word backing the bus. when I watch teams,
yes.
Liverpool, for example, we'll call it Man City, all these top clubs, they are all behind the ball, you know, when they have lost possession. And here people say parking the bus. And
Parking the bus means cutting off supply from just ahead of your 18-yard box and no move.
But Asha, your comment on that group before we move on.
Of course, Tunisia, but I'm keeping an eye on Mauritania.
The
they're
debutants.
Yes, the debutants. They are a very dangerous side, and of course they have a lot of motivation going into the tournament. Everyone is underlooking them, just like you said. I'm sure Alan Gires is trying to say the same thing about them. But I've been following the preparations in Morocco, and I'm giving them a chance, to be honest. Although Mali have a very exciting player, Sekou Koita, who has enterprised and been very amazing at the under 20
But I think we were together in Gabon.
Yes.
Do you still remember the equalizer for them?
Yes, I remember. Yeah.
If I think that ball is still flying.
All right, we've got to quickly move on. We're running out of time, man. I'm rushing through the groups very, very fast as I can. We've got to go to Group F now. We have a very good friend as well in Cameroon who works for the national broadcaster CRTV and the BBC. His name is Enonji. He's been giving us his thoughts about Cameroon and how good they will be at the AFCON. Here he is.
Hello to everyone watching NTV Press Box. This is Njie Eno from Cameroon. So the Indomitable Lions of Cameroon have had a great build-up to the 2019 Africa Cup of Nations in Egypt. Their preparation for the Made in 24 Nations continental event is in 3 phases. The first phase ends today in Madrid, Spain. For 1 week, the defending African champions have been gearing up in Valdebebas in the facilities of Spanish giants Real of Madrid. They played a friendly game against Zambia on Sunday and they beat them 2-1. And tonight they're going to be playing against Spanish Division 2 side AD Alcorcon. So a realistic target for the Indomitable Lions should be the quarterfinals. The truth be said, a lot has changed within the team. Only about 10 players from the 2017 expedition are in the current side. To give you an example of how much things have changed, of all the 3 goalkeepers that featured in Egypt, only 1 is in the current side, and that is Fabrice Ondoa, who was a starter in Egypt. Unfortunately, if things remain the way they are, he will be on the bench with Ajax of Amsterdam shortstopper Andre Onana expected to start in between the sticks for Cameroon. So a lot has changed. There is no Joel Matip, who featured in the UEFA Champions League final with Liverpool eventually winning the European title. There is no Frank Com, who's had an exceptional season with Esperance of Tunisia, and who it's expected should be winning his second CAF Champions League title in the months ahead when the final of that tournament is replayed. And Cameroon has had a lot of difficulties up front. Vincent Aboubakar, the team's leading striker, is just back from injury. He's had some few fitness problems, and coach Clarence Seedorf has been trying as much as possible to get a good combination, to get good team cohesion, and so far it's not been the case. The only time Cameroon has impressed since the Dutch tactician took over was in their last qualifying game when they thrashed the Comoros 3-0. But apart from that, the Lions haven't really been in scintillating form. They've not been exceptional, and a good target for Cameroon should be the quarterfinals.
All right, there you go. That is Enonje talking to us from the Cameroon capital of Yaoundé and giving us his side of the story about the Indomitable Lions when it comes to Group F. They have Ghana, Benin, and Guinea-Bissau. Now, coach, I'm looking at this group, and I'm seeing a West African derby in there. There's Benin in there as well. There's Guinea-Bissau. This is as tricky as it gets.
I think anybody can take it in that group. That's my feeling, especially the top 3. Cameroon, Ghana, and Benin. They are interesting because Ghana can lose to anybody, and Ghana can beat anybody. You know that's how it is. With Ghana, you know, you cannot put your man on Ghana. You know, they wake up in the mood. They can beat. They can surprise you. They can actually humiliate you when they not in the mood. Then they don't give their. I don't know. But I think probably now that the tournament is end of the season, probably they can give their best.
Yeah, which is an interesting one. You were talking about it before you came on set.
Yes.
The change of the tournament from January to now means some of the bigger African sides have the advantage.
Yeah. No, not really, because those big African sides they normally have players in those top leagues in Europe, and some clubs would fly their players in and out of the country. You know, play one game, then on the plane go play the league game. But now they are going to stay. They are settled in Cairo, so they will have to give their best.
You haven't given me your final two teams that will make it through, but let me first come to Asha. Ghana, Cameroon, Benin, Guinea-Bissau. I don't know.
It's complicated, but remember Cameroon, no one expected them to win the AFCON in 2017. They still have almost the same squad, of course, without their captain Benjamin Mokanjo. I don't really trust Clarence Seedorf, so I don't think they come into this tournament as title favorites. But they'll come out of this group. And
What do you mean you don't trust Seedorf?
Not really. He's made certain decisions, and there's a bit of some camps in the squad. It's not really one team like we saw with Hugo Bruce, which is actually what led them to winning the tournament. Right now, there's a little bit of some issues in the team, but it's complicated. I don't trust him.
So
He doesn't have experience on the African
Who are you
continent.
giving it to
Also, I'm giving it to Cameroon and Ghana. Yeah,
Really?
Ghana, yes.
Mwangusha, this group is very tight. I'll come back to that.
Talking of Ghana's, unpredictability. You see how they started the qualifiers, blitzing past Ethiopia 5. Then they went to Nairobi and they were brought down to earth. And then before of course they just qualified top because the group wasn't that also because of the Kenya and all. But then looking at Cameroon, you have to credit Cameroon. They started as qualified hosts.
Yes.
And they had to win against Comoros on the final day to confirm after they were, the rates were taken off. But again, Asha says you don't trust Seedorf at all. But let me tell you, anyone who wins the Nations Cup and they come back as defending champions, trust me, that alone drives them. And then, for me, the way I look at the Seedorf and the Seedorf case is, it's a source of inspiration. These players know this player. They know how much he achieved. Perhaps, like the coach said, they could play for him. And when they meet in the dressing room, what he tells them, those are some of the few things. But then Benin could spoil the party between Cameroon and Ghana. But the thing is, Ghana have been at the Nations Cup semi-finals 6 times in the last finals. Cameroon were are the defending champions. So those two, I think, should go out of the group. But Benin could be the potential party spoiler.
And by the way, Andrew, Guinea-Bissau still have players that are playing in the league in Portugal. They're not yet in camp. 2 weeks to the tournament. Actually, 11 days to the tournament. So that in itself should tell you about their preparations.
Guys, we're going to hold on to that debate very shortly. We want to go for a quick break. Then when we come back, we talk about Ahmad, the CAF president, arrested in Paris, then released. How dramatic is that before the Africa Cup of Nations? By the way, reports that FIFA also wants to check the CAF accounts now because they give CAF so much money every single year, and the VAR story. We're going to play the CAF Champions League final again. African football. I really love this continent. But I tell you what, I repeat, your best rapper is already in town. Big Trill. He's got a big hit that is all over the airwaves, every TV that you're watching, every radio you're listening to. So when we come back from the break, the big questions, and we expect answers.